camp and into the old Ezo Pompeii.
There is nothing quite like the smell of freshly roasted coffee beans, and this morning we're diving right in. We're hanging out with our friends here in Nhulunbuy, who's turned his love for coffee into a small batch roasting operation, right here at home. But before we get too caffeinated, we should probably explain how we got here. We are currently in the Northern Territory in a place called Gove, also known as Nhulunbuy. Why the two names? We'll get to that later on in this episode. Last week we left the Torres Straits and sailed across the Gulf of Carpentaria, arriving in Gove where we picked up a mooring. We got the mooring! And now you're all caught up, about to embark with us to explore this beautiful region. Good morning from beautiful sunny Gove.
Yeah, we've had a heap of cloud cover coming up the coast, and it's really, really nice to see a nice blue sky. Now, we went across to the Yacht Club last night and met up with our friends that have kindly lent us their mooring. And when we were there, we joined the Yacht Club. It's very affordable to do it in Gove here, or Nhulunbuy for a temporary member. So we're going to be doing the hour of the shower this afternoon, which we're really excited about. But while we were meeting our friends, he mentioned that he's actually a coffee roaster.
Yeah.
So he has a coffee company called Arnhem Coffee up here, and us considering that
we like coffee.
We love coffee. So we're really excited. So we're actually going to go across, check out Gove Township, drive on into town. They were kind enough to lend us one of their cars.
Super nice.
And we're going to sample the coffee. So we're really excited about it. It has been 18 years since I've been into the township of Gove. So it's been a really long time. Really excited to go and see what's changed and how it's evolved over time.
Yeah, it should be really beautiful. And we've got a croc to watch out for.
Yeah, there's a croc that hangs out on the wharf here. So we're going to see if he likes our chew toy. Hopefully he doesn't, and our tender last. It's a bit new to get chewed up. Generally speaking, if you leave it there, it should be okay. So we're going to risk it and see how we go. But yeah, we're going to jump in the tender, cruise on into town, and sample some Arnhem coffee.
So what is the difference between Gove and Nhulunbuy? The area is commonly referred to as Gove, which is the name of the peninsula and the region, originally named after pilot officer William Gove, a Royal Australian Air Force airman killed in World War II. It is still used in reference to things like the Gove Peninsula, the Gove Airport, and Gove Harbour. Nhulunbuy, on the other hand, is the name of the town itself. It comes from a local language and reflects the deep indigenous heritage of the area. Nhulunbuy was established in the 1960s as a mining town and remains the main settlement on the Gove Peninsula. So essentially, Gove is the region, Nhulunbuy is the town, and both names are still widely used depending on the context. Our friend Rick, a local legend around here, is about to show us how he roasts some seriously good coffee right from home. Let's go say hi and dive straight into some delicious, fresh brewed goodness.
So I've got a bit of a OCD process where I weigh the beans before I grind them, and then weigh the pour of the coffee as well. But when you're only making a few coffees a day, it allows you to get the consistency that a barista who's got that muscle memory of making coffees all day would probably have much better. And also, because I'm not making so many coffees, I've got the time to do the process. A little bit of water stops the static. And then the HG1 grinder is a big hand grinder that uses the commercial burrs out of a big cafe grinder, put in a platform where we get basically beans in, coffee out with no retention, which is a big problem with cafe grinders, that you get a lot of retention of the coffee, which is then stale when you're making a fresh coffee. And we just take the cup and got a plunger in the bottom. So now I've got the coffee into the portafilter. Quick tamp and into the old Iso Pompeii spring lever machine. And again, we're weighing that coffee coming out. So I've got 15 grams of beans. We're looking for about 28 grams of coffee in the cup to give us the right extraction ratio. So when we pull the lever down, we get the pre-infusion with low pressure water coming in, saturating the puck, make the coffee wet, and we give it about 5 seconds pre-infusion, and then release the spring to pressurize the coffee and get the proper extraction. Basically, we're aiming for that pour to take around 30 seconds ideally. But I don't think it's as critical as having the weights correct. So we're about 27 grams there. So that's our coffee in the cup. And we'll just stretch a little bit of milk. And the main process with stretching the milk is actually to raise the temperature to about 63 degrees, which changes the proteins in milk and makes it sweeter. And that's actually the whole point of doing it. It's not to create the microfoam and draw fancy art on top. Its main purpose is for that improved flavour with the slightly sweetened milk. And there we have a coffee.
With the coffees made, and yes, they do taste and smell as good as they look, we got chatting to Rick about how he roasts his own beans. So let's take a look at how the magic happens.
Okay, so this is my fluid bed roaster. It's quite an interesting story that when I was looking to scale up my roasting from basically a home machine to a commercial machine, there's nothing available between a tiny home machine that roasts a tiny little bit of coffee and a commercial machine that roasts like 10 or 15 kilo batches. And that's really not practical for someone at my scale. And so I started looking into fluid bed roasters, and I found this old design that a Kiwi guy called Roaster Rob had invented, called a fluid bed roaster. And I sort of had enough drawings to get an idea of how to build one, but there were some key components that I didn't understand. And through use of my Google foo, I was able to actually track Roaster Rob down, who'd long since got out of the coffee business. And he's with the Bureau of Meteorology in New Zealand down in Stewart Island. And I contacted him, and he was just like, he was amazed. He's like, how the hell did you track me down and know about my past life? I'm like, oh, well, I was pretty keen to find out about your roaster. And so he filled in the gaps for me. The principle of a fluid bed roaster compared to a normal drum roaster, where it's the heat of the steel basically that heats the beans, and you don't get particularly even heating and you get hot spots. The fluid bed roaster relies on hot air that's pumped from a old vacuum motor that sits in that esky there, and it pumps through the black hose air into the roaster. And it's also got a big like asphalt melting torch in the bottom, so you get in the burner chamber here, you've got a really hot gas flame burning with hot air, or air being forced through it, and the hot air comes up, and we'll try and get a picture of it. It's a bit hard to see, but in the start of the roasting section, there's an angled plate which comes across at an angle, solid, and then it's got a flat piece in the last third of it, which is called the perforated plate, and it's full of little tiny holes which are a specific size and a specific number of them. So the hot air can only come up through the front of the burner chamber through that perforated plate, and then the beans are sitting in there, and that airstream fluidizes the beans. That's why it's called a fluid bed, because they stop being a clump sitting on the bottom and they all go into this glass column suspended in air, and because it's coming up the front, pushes the beans up the front, and then they fall off the back and go back down. So you've got a circular motion of the beans through the hot air, and you get very, very good contact convection heating from the hot air and very even roasting. Then you have two controls. So you have, on the gas bottle, you've just got a simple regulator control, so we can either increase the gas pressure or reduce it. And we've got the air is controlled by a variable speed fan. So we can just change the speed of the air and how much it fluidizes the beans, and we can change the heat of the gas, or the pressure of the gas. And through those two things, we can get a very accurate curve on the computer, on the software, that shows us the rate of rise and the temperature of the beans. And there's a specific key to good roasting, which is that you want an ever decreasing rate of rise. So at the start of a roast, you're trying to get the bean temperature to go up very quickly, and we're increasing it by about 30 degrees C per minute. And then you want it to then drop off through the rest of the roast on a nice smooth line back down to probably about 4 or 5 degrees per minute increase at the end of the roast. And that is the secret to the roast curve. And a fluid bed dry roaster gives you much better control of that than a conventional commercial machine, which really is quite jumpy with its temperature control. So if you can imagine, if we had some coffee, which unfortunately today I don't have some to roast, but the coffee gets dropped in through here. So there's a funnel that goes on here, and we feed the green coffee beans in to the hot roaster, and then we turn up the fan to fluidize them, and then they'll start fluidizing. And we'd increase the gas up to the correct temperature point, and then they will just keep roasting, and we'll control that profile. And they go through, for people that know a bit about roasting, it goes through the first crack at about 187 degrees Celsius, and then just before second crack, which happens a bit over 220 degrees Celsius, then we're dumping the beans. And to dump them, we open this door, and the beans would fall straight out. And if you come around this side, you probably get a shot of that perforated plate in the doorway there if you go in tight, and you'll see the angled plate up behind that. And so now the beans just will fall into the cooling tray, which has got a fan underneath it to force air up and cool the beans. And that's the end of a roast, and it takes about just under 15 minutes to do 2.5 kilos. I usually, probably for my week's supplies to my customers, I probably only roast a bit under 2 hours a week. It's enough to roast enough coffee for all the customers for a week. So it's not a very intensive process. For those of you who are familiar with coffee roasting, you also get a lot of what's called chaff, which is the skin off the green coffee bean that comes off it with heat. It vents out through the top because it's lighter, so the hot air carries it out. And this marvellous contraption is an air cleaner out of a 1970s Land Cruiser, which actually is a cyclone air cleaner. So it works by cyclonic motion to drop the solids out. So I've taken the air filter out of the inside of it and just using it as a cyclone. So hot air comes out that end, and down the bottom drops out the chaff, which I've probably got a bucket of chaff here that I can tip out in the garden. So that's the chaff from the coffee beans, which is sort of a waste product of the process. And that's really the story.
We had a really great time with Rick, learning about coffee and, of course, drinking plenty of it. This life continues to amaze us. The people we meet, the things we learn, it's all just incredible. And we hope you enjoyed diving into the world of coffee with us too. After saying our goodbyes, we headed into town to the local grocery store, to Woolies. And surprisingly, the prices are pretty much the same as they are in the city, which, considering how remote Nhulunbuy is and that everything has to be freighted in, it's a really pleasant surprise. So we grabbed a few groceries and then zipped back to the boat and then zipped back to land again for the sacred hour of the shower.
So attached to the yacht club here, right next door, is a caravan park. And so for $10, and it's $10 per boat, you can get access to the caravan park with hot showers and washing machines and bits and pieces. So come with me and check it out. So we met with friends, we paid the $10, we went for a shower last night. There's 5 of us, so because it's per boat, it's a really good deal. Then we came across this morning and we're having second showers. So $1.75 a shower it works out to be, which is very, very cheap. And when you're in here, what you have is you've got, I'll come around, I'll show you. There's a little bit of an outside kitchen. And so you've got barbecues, microwave, tea, toaster, benches. For us, it was the showers. So I'll show you inside. I'll check to make sure that there's no one in the gentleman's shower and we'll check it out. There's also washing lines, so you don't have to pay for the dryers, which is absolutely fantastic. And washing machines are here. There's books, you can do a book exchange, pay for the washing machines, and come and check out. The facilities are really, really nice. We're so impressed with them. So, hello. You've got toilets. This is the blokes, obviously, and then the showers. Really nice, really clean, lots and lots of hot water. So if you're ever coming to Gove, guys, $10 per boat, gets you discounted drinks, gets you access to here for 24 hours. I believe the current prices is $50 for a week. And beautiful, beautiful hot showers. Check it out.
From roasting beans to roaming Woolies, our time in Nhulunbuy has been full of flavor, both in the cup and in the company. This cruising life never stops surprising us. One day you're crossing the Gulf, the next you're sipping locally roasted coffees in a remote town at the top end. A massive shout out to our amazing Patreons. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you guys so much. If you are interested in joining the J Crew and becoming a Patreon, the link to our Patreon is in the description box below and also pinned in the first comment. Thank you guys so much again for watching, and we will see you all same time next week.